Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Hey, I want to come on here and just share my testimony. I've been asked by a few different people and other platforms, and like I said, I started this channel, so I just wanted to share it and get it out there. I'll be upfront honest with you guys. I've been blessed and I've not have any crazy testimony like drugs or addiction or anything like that. The Lord has protected me throughout the years. But here's my story. When I was 8 years old, we had a knock on the door, and I can remember this clear as yesterday. Anyways, we had a knock on the door, and this wonderful lady, Mrs. Lewis, she knocked on the door and asked my mom and dad if we wanted to go to church, if they wanted to go to church. Gave them invite cards and all that stuff, and right away, my dad said, nope, nope. A little story from my dad. Growing up, he was part of a men's choir that traveled all over Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, just singing and praising God. And my dad just got to the point where he kept questioning God, kept questioning, why did this happen or why did this? And his relationship, he fell out. My dad got polio disease 1 year before the shot came out. So all his life he wrestled with, why would God let this happen to me? Well, my mom said no as well. Growing up, I know some few times that she went to that same church that invited us as a kid, but her dad made her and her sisters go as more of like a babysitting opportunity to get them out of the house. So my mom always felt forced to go to church. So she never liked it. So when they both got older and they both decided when they have kids that they didn't want to go to church. Well, anyways, fast forward again. And Mrs. Lewis said, well, we have a bus service that comes and picks up kids. Is that all right if you let your two kids go? My mom and dad said, if they want to go, we'll let them go. So they asked us, and me and my sister said, yes, we want to try it. We want to go. And then the next Sunday, my mom woke us up. We got dressed. The bus came and picked us up, and we went to church. And that minute that I went in the door, I fell in love with everything about church, the music, the stories in Sunday school. I was given a Bible. They were praying. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I loved it. And I always joke around and I say it's probably because of the snacks, because we got snacks on the bus, we got snacks in Sunday school. But you know what? I fell in love with everything about church, and I didn't even know what church was yet. I was, like I said, I was 8 years old, but I loved every minute I was there. My sister, on the other hand, didn't like any of it. She didn't like getting up early. She didn't like uh, church, the music. She didn't like being around all the people, all that stuff there. So when we got dropped off, my parents asked us, and I told them same thing I just told you guys. I loved everything. My sister said, "Nope, I'm never going back." Well, the bus continued to pick me up on Sundays, and I went until I was about 13 years old at the same church. And then at that time, the youth pastor that I just started going into the youth group, now I'm 13, had an affair with one of the kids. And that rocked my world. It rocked everything. Like I said, from 8 to 13, I did everything I could at the church. And this youth pastor was somebody I looked up to. Like, I tried to go with them and knock on doors. Every moment I can, I was trying to be in. And after that happened, I stopped going to church for a little bit. And it took me a while to realize for God to show me, hey, that you were looking at this guy and not me. You had this guy on a pedestal and not me. And then at that same time, I had a vision, or I had a dream from the Lord that was at a door frame, and right above the door, it said Youth Pastor Ricky Hammonds. And for the next 6 months, I kept praying, God, what is this? God, what does this mean? What are you trying to tell me? And I tell you this, plain as day, it felt like the Lord said, duh, that's what I want you to do. You're going to be a pastor. So I got myself back into a church. At that time, my friend was going to a bigger church, and he invited me to go with him. I went with him, and once again, I walked in there, I loved everything. It's like I was missing. It felt like I was missing something in my life for not going to church for a little bit. Anyways, I was getting involved. I got back into the drama team there. I got into uh, what they called their core group. It was a Sunday night where less people came, but the people that was there, you could tell that they all wanted to serve God. And it's funny, I look back at that group, and 4 of us from that group are pastors now. It was a great time. I was there for a couple years, learning, teaching, helping out any way I can. And then one night, it was a Friday night. It was after football season, and my best friend's dad at the time, he was a pastor as well, and his friend, or his best friend, was a pastor, and they were just starting a youth group. And he told my best friend's dad, hey, your son's 15. He's probably got some friends. You think they would come and just come to our night and have fun and games and stuff? And when he came and told us about that, me and my friend was like, no, we don't want that at all. We don't want to go. We're not going to waste a Friday night. Our church ain't doing nothing. We're just going to hang out with some people. Long story short, we decided to go. And the moment I walked into that new church for the night, I just have fun and eat some pizza. I was really just going for the fun and pizza because like I said, I have a church. The moment I walked in that door, I felt the Lord say, hey, this is your church. And instantly I was like, Lord, what do you mean this is my church? I like the place I'm at. I love this other church. I'm involved in the drama, and I just keep listening to all this stuff, and the Lord's like, that's not what I said. So the next day, or that Sunday coming up, I went to my youth pastor and told him, hey, the Lord's calling me somewhere else. And after meeting with him, and we both decided, and he even told me, you need to go where the Lord tells you. So then I tried to make a deal with God. I said, God, this new church only has Sunday morning. Is it okay if I just go there Sunday morning, and then I still can come to the core group at night and still the Wednesday meeting? And at first, that's what I was doing. But then I was there at this church. I was learning. I was getting involved. We just started, like I said, the youth group just started. So we got going. And then at the age of 15, the youth pastor at this new church decided in the middle of the night to leave. He packed up and left his wife. And nobody knew about it. This happened on a Tuesday night. And we had youth group. Our new youth group night was Wednesday. So we came. A couple of us was outside the door of the church waiting to come in and got time to youth group. And nobody was there. And then we called the pastor and said, hey, the youth pastor's not here. He came over. He ran group that night. And then later on, we found out that the youth pastor left. And the pastor said, well, what do you want to do? I said, what do you mean I want to do? He said, you're called to be a pastor. You want to try to run this group? So at the age of 15, after praying and deciding, I was in charge of my first youth group. And everything was going great. We were growing. We were having fun. We were getting set up. And then the pastor left. A new pastor came in. Some of you guys who's been around the church world for a little bit knows that sometimes when new pastors come, people leave. People get set for a pastor instead of the church, and this is what happened. So eventually, fast forward, this church closed. It closed. It didn't have enough money. It was sold out. I went to a different church, helped that youth group out until I was 19. And at that time, I felt like my life was going nowhere. I felt like I was stuck. I just felt like something was missing. Something wasn't there. So I left. I joined the Army and left. and spent a little bit of time in the Army. Got out way before my contract, and that's maybe something that we'll talk about later on, was over. Came back to my current city I live in, my hometown, and life happened. Got away from church again for a little bit, and then I met my current wife, and we decided to buy a house. And every house we went to, something was wrong, or it was way over our budget, everything. And the current house we're at now, everything lined up for us to buy it. The price went down. We got our bid, won, everything like that. And then we were moving in. And then that week, I seen a post on Facebook that was the church I'm at now had their midweek service. The pastor before me had his own ministry that he still wanted to run because he still had some people in it. So he brought it to this church. And I seen the Facebook post about it. I told the wife, I said, hey, it's just a block down. We're looking for a different church. We tried a couple different churches. We didn't like it. So I was like, hey, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. I just walked down here for an hour or so. Well, fast forward, that was in 2015. It's 2024 and I'm still here, and now I've been the senior pastor for the last 3 years. And the last 3 years have been an eye-opening experience. I can tell you first step, I can't tell you if everyone feels this way, if not, but for myself, going from the assistant / youth / kids / everything else in a small church, hat you got to wear to being the lead pastor, was a step that, one, I didn't think I was going to do at the age I was. Right now I'm 36. I took over when I was 34. I thought I still had some more time with the youth and kids. And two, most of the stuff I'm learning has either been questions or trial and error. The pastor before me taught me a lot of things, but as I'm seeing, a lot of things I was taught was either wrong or he didn't know everything, because this was his first church that he was in charge of. Before, he was assistant, and the church he was at before that, he was assistant, but there was like 4 or 5 assistants, so he didn't do all the stuff as a lead pastor does. So I'm learning as to go, and that's part of this channel, is things I want to share about things I've learned and as I go, and help maybe a new pastor grow, or a person who being called to the ministry to know some things, that mistakes I've made I can share. And like I said in the beginning of my first video, I want to glorify God, and if I can help somebody else out, I'm going to help somebody else out. And I know this was a rant, but that's my story in a nutshell. There's some more details that will come out later on in different videos and stuff, but I wanted to give an overall picture for you guys. You know what? Thank you for listening. We love you, but most importantly, God loves you. Have a great day.